Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the last portion of this podcast on process control, and we are going to be discussing on qualitative and semi-quantitative procedures. The objectives of this podcast would be to differentiate between built-in and traditional controls, describe how to use stock cultures for microbiology QC, discuss the use of quality control procedures for stains used in microscopic examination, and describe methods for verifying performance of microbiological media. So let me lay down a scenario that your lab performs a culture and Pseudomonas aeruginosa is identified. Your lab performs a culture and Pseudomonas aeruginosa is identified. What QC measures can you use to confirm that the isolate is correctly identified? I'll give you an example. In my lab, we isolated and identified Klebsiella oxytoca, and we shipped these to a reference laboratory, and they came back and they said that this was different. We knew that our QCs were working and everything was good. And then we just repeated the testing with our QCs, and you can guess what the results were. So the qualitative or semi-quantitative test examples are microscopic examinations, dipsticks, serological procedures, microbiological procedures, any reaction that produces non-numeric results. Some of the important concepts to grasp in quantitative or semi-qualitative QCs is sample management, which we covered extensively in podcast 6.2, staff competency, garbage in, garbage out. So your staff has to be competent. Equipment maintenance has to be top-notch. Control materials, we just discussed that, we must adhere to the manufacturer's instructions. They must be stored well, they must be handled well, they must be reconstituted well. Stains, media, and reagents management is also critical. And the most important point is record keeping. I cannot be overemphasize that if it's not written down, it has not been done. So some of the quality control materials are either built-in controls into the system or control materials that mimic patient samples or reference organisms. For the built-in controls, these could be integrated into the design of a test kit or device and will automatically run with each test performed. And we assess the certain aspects of kit performance. These may not assess the entire testing process. So it may just test parts of the process, and it is upon us now to maybe decide if we are going to have additional controls apart from the built-in controls. And for the traditional controls, the materials are known with known reactivity. We know whether they will react positive or negative, or they will not react. And they also mimic patient samples, and they are used to assess the integrity of the entire test system. So also when we are using traditional controls, we must test them as per the patient samples. This is very important. We should also use a positive and a negative control, and include a weak positive control for immunological procedures. Choose positive controls close to the cutoff value, and include control to monitor extraction phase. If the test procedure has got extraction phase, then we also need a control at that point. We can also use stock cultures for quality controls, such as reference strains, and I'm going to let you know where you can get this, or in-house developed strains. Predictable reactions in stains and media. Are they reacting the way we expect it to react? And also to ensure media and reagents and supplies work as intended. So for the reference strains, you can get them from ATCC, American Type Culture Collection, or the NTCC, National Type Culture Collection from the UK, or the Pasteur Institute collection from France. There could be other vendors who will be able to help you to get these strains. And as we had said earlier, that they must be stored properly, they must be aliquoted so that you have at least a minimum of 1 year's vials ready for use, whether on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. For stains, we should use established procedure for preparation or reconstitution. And a very easy way to know whether stains have been reconstituted and used properly is just look at the stain sink. The dirtier it is, then you know that here there's definitely a problem. Also label the content, the concentration, date prepared and placed in service, expiration, and the initials of the person who prepared this is extremely important. This is one area where auditors pay particular attention because they know that a lot of laboratories ignore this. So, they can go to your gram staining or the staining sink and just pick on one stain bottle. And more often than not, it would not have a label. And if the label is there, it will be out of date, it will be expired, the initials of the person who prepared the stain will not be there, or it has been stored inappropriately. So we must check the particular stains with known organisms or cells and examine for crystal shards or for precipitation. We should also examine for contaminants such as bacteria and fungi. Is the stain giving us what we expect? If we expect purple, is it giving us purple? If you are expecting a red color, is it giving us a red color, green color, luminous green, or whatever color it is? If it's not giving us that, then we know that the stain is not working. That is the way to differentiate between a good quality or a poor quality stain. The good quality stain must give us the reaction, sharp contrast of what we expect it to be. So for microbiological media, again, we have to verify the performance. Usually take like about 10% of the media after preparation and cooling down, stick it in the incubator and see whether it remains sterile. And then take another portion that you have determined, inoculate the characteristic organisms, incubate it for the recommended temperature and period, and check whether it is producing the reactions and the growth that we expect it to. If it is not producing the reactions and the growth that we expect it to, then we must discard it. Ensure that you also label it and indicate date of preparation and also the lot number and the expiry or the shelf life of the media. We must avoid outdated or dried out and contaminated media. You go to some micro labs and you find media that has completely dried out and they're still using it, or outdated and they're still using it. No. You're not saving any money, but you're using poor quality media, so you'll get poor quality results, if at all. Human blood, we should not use it because there is too much batch-to-batch variation and may include inhibitory substances such as antimicrobials, and may also contain biohazards, for example, hepatitis virus, HIV, or other unknown pathogens. So absolutely do not use human blood. It's better to stop testing and refer your samples to a reference lab. So for the quality control of growth media, keep records for the media prepared in-house. And now you find that you can buy ready prepared media, but ensure that it has got adequate shelf life. I have experience, for example, when we have ordered sheep blood or horse blood, and by the time it arrives in the lab, it has already got a shelf life of 1 week or less. And sometimes, you ordered a whole liter, and which you are not going to be able to use in that short period of time. The same case to media that you have bought ready prepared. Make sure that it has adequate shelf life for you to be able to use it in a laboratory. So record the outcomes in a dedicated media logbook Again, I recommend usually using a LIMS, Lab Information Management System, but if you don't have that and you have Excel spreadsheet, you can use that. Record things like pH, sterility, ability to support growth, using stock cultures, biochemical responses of the stock cultures, and things like that to ensure that it is working the way it is supposed to work before you release it to the test benches. And ensure that you test each new batch or lot number. So in summary, qualitative test procedures produce non-numerical results, that is positive and negative, reactive or non-reactive. Semi-quantitative tests give an estimate of a value, and we should establish a QC program for qualitative and semi-quantitative tests. The key message to take from this short podcast is that QC procedures must be followed by all staff. Always record QC results and corrective actions. And if QC results are not acceptable, do not report patient results. Do not test. I welcome your questions, your comments that you have. jondo664@gmail.com, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you, and see you next week. Bye-bye.